The important thing that I would probably communicate to students who are trying to get through their degree on this is don't let the fact that you know how to type prompts replace the fact that you know how to do this yourself.
Welcome to The Inevitable, a podcast by MotorTrend.
Hi there, and welcome to The Inevitable. This is MotorTrend's podcast, our vodcast about the future of the car. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? What are software-defined vehicles? And who's going to build them and program them? That's all what we're going to talk about today on this episode. Very special one. Yes, I'm here by myself again. Johnny couldn't join me out here in Canada. We're in QNX's garage here up in beautiful Ottawa. And we're going to talk to two very special people, which I'll get to in a moment. But right now, I need to tell you that the Inevitable Vodcast is brought to you by QNX, whose high-performance foundational software powers over 275 million vehicles on the road today. QNX delivers safe, secure, reliable, and scalable solutions, enabling automakers to unlock transformative applications, drive new revenue streams, and launch innovative business models, all without compromising safety or security. The Inevitable Vodcast is also brought to you by Vector, a competent partner in embedded software. For over 35 years, Vector has been helping the industry simplify complexity and accelerate the transition to software-defined vehicles. And that's what we're talking about on this episode, but specifically from a different angle. We're talking about top talent in software engineering and how to bring these people into the automotive industry. This is a big topic within the automotive industry as it shifts to becoming more into the tech space. It used to be we'd talk about Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google. How do you get software engineers to go there? How do automotive car companies and suppliers, how do they get that talent to consider working with car companies? We have two great experts to chat about this topic. One is Karen Xiong. She comes from Vector Informatic, based out of Novi, Michigan. And we also have Andy Gryc, who comes from QNX and is a veteran of the automotive industry. He's worked at several different places, including General Motors. And we're going to talk to them about their journey to their respective companies, their education, what they studied, how they got into the automotive business, and then what they do in particular from an outreach perspective, as well as the programs their companies run in trying to draw top talent into Vector, into QNX, and really get, the best and the brightest to consider working in the automotive space and not for a mobile phone maker or another tech company. So, without further ado, let's welcome Karen Xiong and Andy Gryc. So Karen, Andy, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and also traveling to beautiful Ottawa, where apparently isn't that cold, although I'm from California, so it all looks really cold.
It's way better than it has been.
It's way better than it has been. I saw a little bit of blue sky, actually.
I heard this was spring over here.
I actually, yesterday I took a walk with no coat because it was so warm.
Oh,
It was about 3 degrees, which is like, maybe 38, 40 or something? Because the week before, minus 25.
Yeah,
Holy
I
moly.
understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, you guys are both University of Michigan grads. Is that
right
correct?
on, go
We didn't
blue.
know that. Go blue.
You did not know that?
No, I didn't know that.
That's awesome.
That's great. So yeah, of course, I did your LinkedIn stalking, and so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things. We're talking about what you guys do at your respective companies. We're going to talk about, but kind of how you got there. So let me start. We'll go ladies first. So Karen Xiong, you been 7 years now at Vector, right? And you work out of their office in Novi?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about kind of how you got there. You're University of Michigan grad in computer engineering.
Yes.
Okay. How was that like? Why computers? Why get in?
I grew up in Novi, Michigan, so it's always been like the automotive industry.
Okay.
Both my parents worked for like OEMs in the area, so like Ford and GM. So just grew up in a very engineering family. Didn't know what major I wanted to pursue, so automatically just picked what my parents did. So I started as an electrical engineer, actually.
Okay.
struggled a bit in the circuits courses, and so kind of made the swap to a little bit more software. I liked the logic courses. I liked working with the FPGAs.
I'm sorry, what?
FPGAs.
FP, what's that?
Field programmable
Yes.
gate array.
Oh, look at
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
But basically, like, you're able to, write directly to the hardware registers, see something on the board, see the LEDs, the switches, things like that. So it was really kind of cool to make changes on your computer and immediately, like, see it in hardware. So that's kind of how I swapped over to computer engineering, and yeah, here I am.
So wait, circuits are harder than software?
I was
don't
going to
know.
ask about that, but I wanted not to interrupt.
No, it
so-
was like, I just remember like the specific lab I was doing, I just like couldn't do it. And I had like a crash out, I would say, at the Ugly. And I was like, no, I can't do electrical anymore. So, I mean, I wouldn't say computer engineering is like easier, but I think it just made more sense and
Okay.
it clicked better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll pause there because I want to talk about this duality of University of Michigan. I went to USC, who just entered the Big Ten, so I'm already kind of like I'm predisposed to. Well, I think we had a pretty good football season against University of Michigan, so I'll go easy on you guys. You have computer science degree.
That's right. Yeah.
A little bit earlier than I think Karen.
A bit.
Okay.
A bit.
How did you end up in automotive? Because you've been at, I looked you up as well. You were at HP, you were at Cyvox, Applied Technology, and also General Motors before joining QNX.
Yeah.
And then you had an interesting detour, which I want to talk about. But
Yep.
why cars? Why computer science?
I'll start with why computer science, because that came first. And yes, I kind of started my programming career because I was a kid and I wanted to play arcade games.
Okay.
And I couldn't afford to, and I couldn't buy them. So I was like, well, I'll just learn how to program.
Okay.
So it kind of went from there to actually like getting a job, like while I was still in high school, like doing statistical quality control apps for automotive. So I kind of got exposed to automotive at that point.
Okay.
And then it just kind of, I went into a field in CS because I couldn't think of doing anything else. Like I just loved it. I loved everything about it. I thought it was just the coolest. At the time I went to U of M, that was part of LS&A, so the liberal arts school, which when I took my degree, I really hated because I was terrible at French, for example, and I had to have like a language. So like my degrees went from A to B to a C to a D, and I'm like, thank God I only had 4 terms, otherwise I would have like flunked out on that. But I'm really actually glad that I had a diverse, education after. But then, I just continued on. I didn't really have an idea that I was going to be in automotive. It wasn't until sort of circumstances, like after I graduated from school, I moved out to the West Coast, lived in Oregon for a while, working on the mobile compute division. That's where I was at HP.
Okay.
So I was doing calculators and palm tops. I worked on the palm tops that they had at the time. They're like the precursors of the phones that we have now,
Right.
And then, I kind of got back into Michigan at some point along my career trajectory, and I thought, hey, OnStar, that seems like that'd be kind of a fun place to go. Maybe I'll check them out.
Okay. Well, without dating you too badly,
It's all right. It's all good.
what was your first programming language you learned? What were you coding in? Did you do BASIC first? Or did you do...
Started with BASIC, and then it became obvious that I couldn't really do anything, so then I learned assembly second.
Okay.
And then after that, I learned Pascal, and then C, and then, I don't know. I've learned a few.
Same question to Karen.
I would say C++, C.
Okay. Cool. So there's an overlap there. Okay, interesting. Are you car people? Would you consider? I mean, you come from a car family. Your parents worked at GM
Yeah,
before.
I would say like yes and no. I'm interested, but I'm not like that interested where I'm like keeping up with all the new vehicle lines.
That's fine.
Like I would go to the auto show every year with my mom, but kind of the extent. I'm not super big into cars like that.
I'm kind of with Karen on that. I'm interested in what's in the cars, not in the cars. Like, so when people come out and say, "Oh yeah, there's a new X blah and it does this and it's got this many horsepower," I'm like, who cares? What's in the? Is that an ARM processor? Like, oh cool, yeah. Like that's the part I care about.
And you guys are in the right place. And that's fine, by the way. Like I always tell people, like people who want to work on MotorTrend, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to write about Ferraris and Mustangs." And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I can throw a rock and hit like 20 people who want to write about Ferraris and Mustangs. Like, you know what I can't find? There's people who want to write about, well, Corollas and Civics, but also go deep on all the stuff that's coming that's going to affect everything we drive in a really, like the real technical stuff. It's hard to explain, it's hard to understand, and of course it's going to be a much smaller subset of people who are willing to do that kind of stuff, which I think is kind of what we're talking about. But okay, so we heard a little bit about where Andy was at HP post-graduation. Karen, you ended up interning with Volvo, I think in Shanghai?
Yes.
How long, like how did that come about?
That was a pretty long time ago. That was actually like the summer after my freshman year. So
wow.
to be honest, I was
Okay.
like pretty inexperienced.
Okay.
And also like the language barrier was actually quite difficult. So I was like downstairs in their lab. I got to see like their vehicles and like kind of their test builds. But to be honest, like the actual content was pretty difficult for me to grasp at that point.
How long was the internship?
Like 2 months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other internships before jumping into?
No.
So you got hired right out of school
Yep.
to Vector?
Yes. Yes.
How and why? Did they show up on a job board at U of M
So
somewhere?
actually, I found Vector at a career fair. So University of Michigan does like really good career fairs. So I remember it was my first semester of senior year. I actually didn't know about the company, but one of my friends who worked at Ford, like in an internship, was like, "Oh, I've used their tools a lot. They're like a really good embedded software company." So I went up to them, talked to them. It just kind of worked out and it was great. And I think like the job posting, like I didn't really want to go straight into software development. And so it was like a project engineering role, like more integrations of the basic software. And that's more what I was looking for at the time. So it just kind of seemed perfect and it worked out.
What sold you? Did you get to go visit, or did you do a bunch of interviews? Like, what was it like?
We did a couple interviews, and also it's like local. So to be honest, like I already know the area, and I heard good things about the company. So I think I did do an on-site interview or two.
Okay.
So I got to go see the office.
Okay. All right. And then Andy, let's talk a little bit about your years you did 3 years at GM on OnStar. This was
2001 through 2004.
That was like
That was
third or fourth year of their launch, right? Or no longer.
yeah, it was probably close to that. That could be. I mean,
Still
that
the
was
button
during
up
the
top, blue button up
yeah,
top
that's
and
right.
talk to a live person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So I was there during when they had the analog sunset years. So
Okay.
they had started out everything with analog cell phones and then moving over to digital, and so that was kind of interesting to kind of be part of that. And then I got hired on to sort of like this advanced R&D team. And my goal was really sort of to help architect the next generation of software, because we had convinced the organization, well, some people in the organization, that the company should be owning the software, like, as opposed to just kind of like having it be a black box. So I don't know how much of the audience is familiar, but normally car companies will say, hey, we're going to write a specification of everything that this module has to do, and then we'll send it out for tender, and then a bunch of people, different tier ones and Denzos and Delphis and all those companies will actually bid on it,
Right.
and then they'll just pick one. But the OEM doesn't really have any idea what's in the box at that point. They just know, we've told you what the box needs to do. As long as it does that, we don't care.
Right.
And so having had a long software background, I was trying to convince them, like, it's probably a good idea if we know what's in there and actually have the ability to like move that or migrate it, change it, adapt it ourselves, as opposed to always kind of like doing it through that process. So we did have some people who kind of internally bought in, but fundamentally it kind of came against, management, which said, we're highly risk adverse, and that sounds like a risky thing. And then we'd have to hire a bunch of people and all this stuff, so we're not going to do that. And that's about the time I decided, I got to look for something else. And then I found QNX.
It's great because it's funny because you saw the future. Because right now everybody's like vertical integration. We got to own the box. We might actually build the box, and then we're going to build the code in it, so we know everything all about it. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of been the mantra lately. Although I think some of that's changing. So then you end up at QNX after OnStar, after GM. And your first stint was 10 years, right?
Yeah.
10 years,
Yeah.
10 years in a month. You went from a field application engineer to product marketing
That's right.
manager. What were you doing?
Well, I mean, the first half, so the first 5 years, so I was Worldwide Auto FAE, and that basically was just helping, car companies and tier ones build systems with QNX. So fundamentally explaining what our technology was, how it worked. Sometimes it would be like little coding things, sometimes it would be like technical support, but fundamentally just kind of being the face of the company to a lot of those.
A lot of travel?
A lot of travel. That's why I stopped. That's I mean, like I was basically on the road probably like more than 50% of the time.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, that's not working out so well for me. So,
Super fun places?
I would always get like, oh, hey, cool, you're going to Japan. And I'd say, yeah, you know what? The hotels in Japan often look just like the hotels here.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, I did get to see a lot of cool stuff, and I did get to, go a lot of really interesting places, and I had a lot of great experiences. But overall, it's exhausting.
Okay.
And so I decided that I needed to do something different.
In which you moved into product marketing.
I did, yeah.
So is that like buying ads or do creative? Or
No, that was actually a challenge from the VP of the company at the time. So I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do at this next stage. I still wanted to stay at QNX, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And the VP of software engineering said, "Hey, if you think marketing's got problems," and I said, "Well, I do." He said, "Why don't you go in there and fix it?" So I'm like, oh, it's hard to really argue with that logic, So I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, they really probably could use some technical expertise on the product marketing side. So it wasn't ads. So we did B2B marketing mostly. So it's really kind of just figuring out, how to describe what our product is to the people that matter, who are going to buy it or be influenced it, and making things up, but basically explaining in terms that mean something to them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then you went to the LA Auto Show, which I want to come back to, but Karen is kind of where you were at in your first stint at QNX. She's, I think you're in your 7th year now at Vector? Mm-hmm. Okay. What's been your trajectory? You started out as a product engineer, and now you're a program manager. So from there to here, what's the evolution been?
So I started as a project engineer, just like doing integrations, like I mentioned, doing support, kind of like just the basic with our products. And the opportunity kind of came along that, hey, we need some more project managers, like we have more projects going on. So I did that for like another 3 years. And then very recently, the opportunity for like a program manager at our Novi office opened up, and it seemed like a good fit, and I was interested to like try something a little bit different. I mean, a lot of it, I guess, is kind of similar to project management, but just at a little bit of a higher level. Yeah.
Do you manage a team, or do you manage like a series of?
No, so I manage like a program, which is basically just like software programs for specific customers of ours. So in my case, it's like specific OEMs. So a lot of it is just managing their requirements and making sure our product development matches what they need, the workflows, everything. So it's kind of just managing engineering teams. It's just like very cross-functional, I would say. It's not specific people, but it's just managing like everybody to come together and deliver.
Do you get to travel, or is it all Teams and Zoom calls all day long?
I would say I've traveled more as a program manager,
Okay.
but I would still say most of it's like Microsoft Teams calls. Honestly, half my days are usually meetings, and a lot of it is in the morning time when the other time zones are available and stuff. So, yeah.
So you're welcome you get to play hooky and stay off some of those teams. I'm just kidding. So, yes. Okay. So great. All right. So we have now what Karen's doing at Vector, program manager, different teams, cross-functionally, around the world, it sounds like. I want to come back to Andy just for a second here. LA Auto Show, Automobility, advisory board chair?
Yeah.
Like, that's hilarious because in the time frame that I live in LA, been going to the auto show since I was a kid, and then when Automobility came up, I was like, what's this? So is that like your baby or sort of?
It's basically Lisa Kaz, so
Okay.
that was her baby, but we ran it, we executed it, operationalized it.
Okay.
So yeah, at my first stint at QNX, then I left for a while and decided I wanted to do my own thing because there were not a lot of people that understood automotive technology and marketing, and I thought, maybe that's actually something that we could turn into a business. So my partner and I, she was also at QNX, so we both left and we started our own company.
Okay.
That's how we got involved with the LA Auto Show,
Okay.
and we had a bunch of other different clients that we kind of worked with, but that was probably one of the most fun because they just had a really great kind of thing, and we got to lead it, and we got to find speakers. And I'm sorry if we didn't get you. I mean,
It's okay.
I feel bad now.
No. We were not so probably hardcore into the space as we are now. Back in, I mean, the time period we're talking about is 2014 to 2019.
Yeah.
And we were still a little bit on the, I'll call it analog. It's
Yeah,
like
okay.
high performance side. It wasn't really until right around 2020 when we're like, hey, the cars and the software stuff and ADAS.
It's not going away.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's not going to blow over anytime soon. So, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then since, just August or so, you're back here as a developer ecosystem director. What is that?
What is that? Well, basically, we have kind of a challenge. A lot of people within the industry, most people in the industry know what the name QNX is and what we do. But outside of the automotive industry and outside of, people who are doing high reliability stuff, nobody knows who we are.
Okay.
And that leaves a big gap in the talent stream, which I know that we're going to eventually talk about, which is all of these OEM customers or all these other customers that are building wind turbines or nuclear power plants or whatever it is that they can't find engineers that are QNX literate. And so part of my role is to ensure that we do as many things as we can to seed the developer community. So universities, academia, open source developers, startups, incubators, all of that kind of stuff, with at least the knowledge that we exist and what we do, so that when they get to the point of realizing, oh, hey, this actually is something that probably has functional safety implications, maybe we should be using something other than Linux, then I'm hoping that spark will take advantage, and then they'll go and use our software for what we think it's intended for.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you both then the next question because this is a natural progression. You kind of said it, like nobody knows outside of the auto industry, nobody knows what QNX does. I'm sure the same applies to Vector. So if you had to explain to a small child, 5 years old, or your grandma in elevator speech, right? Like 3 sentences. What does QNX do?
Software that makes it easy to run reliable applications, things that don't kill people.
Okay. I dig it. Karen, same question. What does Vector do?
I would say something similar to what Andy just said. We want to offer tools and help with workflows that make developers' lives easier, while being able to maintain those strict, safety, cybersecurity, I guess.
Regulations.
Yeah, exactly. Regulations that we need to adhere to in the auto industry.
Okay. And then for you both, how do the companies now complement each other or work together? Because you guys just launched, and we talked about this with your big bosses, as well as a couple of your colleagues at CES, with this product, Alloy Core. But again, for the extremely young or somebody who's super non-technical, where do you guys fit in together?
So I will admit at the very beginning that I'm not actually a part of the Alloy Core team.
Got it.
But I have a good understanding of
Okay.
what it is. So I'll give my stab at it, and then I'll hand it over to Karen, and
Yes,
she'll give the real
that'd be
answer.
great.
So
No pressure.
the way I look at it is that we have very complementary skills, in terms of Vector and QNX. And I think that what we've done is we've basically said, look, we know that cars are going to be needing to be able to create a software-defined vehicle, you need a lot of software. It's not just the pieces on top, all of the fancy, shiny stuff. It's a huge amount of software that's required, and it has to be reliable and tested and all that stuff. That's something that Vector has spent their entire career doing. That's something we've spent our entire career doing. We saw that there was a ton of complementary in terms of what we both provide to the market, and we said, look, somebody's got to actually do this. Let's work together to do it. Like, you provide the pieces we don't, we provide the pieces you don't, and then we'll have something that OEMs who trust both of us, like all the OEMs work with both companies, how to actually make something that's easier. So,
I mean, to be honest, I'm also not part of the Alloy Core direct
Okay, well, there you go.
partnership.
Totally fine.
But I think you said it perfectly, and I think you guys have always offered pieces. We've always offered pieces, and to work together now more closely to make sure it's seamless and it's efficient and we're optimizing. I think that's kind of the basis of Alloy Core.
Okay, great. Well, you guys spoke to, it wasn't just about Eloquent, but just that the companies are working together. So I think that's great. Okay, so we can pivot a little bit out of, now that we know what you guys do and how your companies work together, to talk sort of a little more generally about, I think, what's required to be in the industry and what maybe, folks who might be interested. We have a pretty broad audience of supercar nerds, enthusiasts. I've been hearing actually lately a lot of folks who attend CES are listeners, so thank you because that's kind of who we're targeting with this podcast. When you think about software-defined vehicles, what is it that folks who want to get in the business need to understand about your day-to-day, the products that your companies develop? What's I think the biggest reality, the shift from being in school, looking at, I think, theoretical frameworks and learning versus actually being in the roles? What's the biggest, where does the rubber meet the road, if that makes any sense?
I would say like you said, actually having the hands-on experience, not just learning the theory in class, but trying to set up your own project, even if it's a small sensor actuator project. It's not even really the code or the functionality in that matters. It's more just how you're building it, from your requirements to automation, for example, doing CI, for example. So not only are you coding the functionality, but you're able to manage the source code, because that's more and more important as you're working with complex systems, but also building up the CI pipeline, automating tests, making sure you're able to catch things earlier and iterate quicker, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, to kind of expand on what Karen has said, I think when I think about the relationships that I have with universities and students, a lot of them are through hackathons. Some of our capstone projects, all that kind of stuff. And I think you have to translate that mindset into actual product. And I think that there's a gap of understanding there, because you spend 48 hours or 24 hours or however long it is just whipping together anything that will work. And at the end of that, it might work. But that's the 10% of the proof of concept. The 90% of the rest of it is getting that to work reliably under all conditions, meeting all the requirements, being tested, being maintained, having a plan for life. There's a huge amount of work that goes beyond just, I have this software that does this task. It's guaranteeing that it's going to do that task for the life of it, that you can maintain it and keep it going and all the rest of that stuff. And that's, I think it's very hard, unless you've actually done that as a student, to really kind of grasp just how big that space is,
So moving from a minimally viable product to the actual
thing
that could be reliably used.
Yeah, that's
every
right.
day in every. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, you've got your autonomous car to drive a lap around the parking lot. Woohoo! That's it. Let's go beat Tesla. No,
Right.
No. Let's spend the next 10 years trying to do everything else that's needed.
Okay, all right, I got you. So can you talk more about? I know I've looked. I know QNX has a lot of university outreach, particularly in all the major Canadian universities, but also, of course, the major computer science programs, also in India, as John Wall reminded me. What are some of the ways, other than hackathons? I know there's like you can, it's free for university. I think anybody can jump in.
Anybody can download it. That's
and
right.
play with
if you're
QNX
if you're
code.
using it non-commercially, you can go to the link, download it, play with it, do whatever
Play
you
with
want.
what? What can they?
So it's our development tools, like the IDE or integrated development environments for doing code development, debuggers, compilers, all of the rest of that stuff, the ability to create an image that runs on a target. So a piece of hardware, a piece of embedded hardware. So you get all of that stuff. The ways that we engage with schools is very dependent on the school, but we have a few ways that we know work. Hackathons is definitely one of them. Sponsoring capstone projects is another one. So if a school has, like a student club and they're building like a Formula EV or Formula 1/10 or one of those kind of projects, or they're doing an autonomous planetary rover, then if we sponsor them, we can, outfit them with the hardware and the software that they need and the support to actually build those projects. And, it's sort of hackathons, we reach tons of people super shallow. Those kind of projects, we reach a few individuals very deeply. And then there's kind of things that are in between that. So we might do guest lectures, for example. So we'll bring in somebody who will talk about functional safety or talk about cybersecurity or one of those things that we specialize in. And, get students engaged with a connection to how industry actually does things, because they learn about a lot of stuff from a very academic point of view, but not how those things get translated into real world or how they actually are used by companies. And so we try to provide that gap and give them like a lot of interesting options for like cool jobs that they might be able to do when they graduate.
Okay. Same question to Karen. Does Vector have a lot of outreach?
Yeah, I think we do. Maybe not as like formal as the QNX one, it sounds like, but I know like since I've started, we've always like at career fairs, we'll reach out with like formula teams as well. Like if there's any tooling we can provide them. I think it's a lot more tool based right now than it is necessarily like our embedded software. But I know that we're working to try to make our embedded software more accessible for like classroom, school, university usage. I think we've also done like select sponsorships as well for some of the like racing teams.
Oh, okay.
It's more like individual basis. I know at least, so I don't think we necessarily do it in our like American office, but I know our German office, they have like a lot of working students as well, students doing their thesis, their PhDs. So we also do a lot of things like with that. We also do some lectures, I think. So yeah, we're also.
You guys, and you probably more than Karen, you participate in some of these. Like you go, you do career. Do you do career fairs, or you go speak or recruit or any of this?
We have done. We don't do a lot, but I actually this Friday I'm doing one. But I mean, generally speaking, we don't do a lot because we don't have a huge number of positions that are available. What I try to do is get engagement for all of our customers who have QNX requirements.
Got it.
And so I'm really trying to just show them that, yeah, there's an ability to kind of get these positions afterwards with, like our broader customer base, which is way more jobs than we could ever supply, right?
So basically, so you can help facilitate a partner, an OEM or a tier one, by getting the word out that QNX exists. If you have it in your quiver of as an engineering student, you might be able to get X, Y, and Z job.
That's right.
over
That's right.
here.
It's a differentiator. Like, I mean, the kids are always looking for, like, what is the thing that's going to really make me stand out among my peers when people are applying for jobs? And it's like, the ability to do work on these projects, sometimes that's it. But, different skills that they might be looking for. And we let them know, QNX skills are actually something that these people are looking for.
In demand.
I want to try to do a little bit more formally to try to connect those up. I've actually got something in the works for that, but that's a longer term project.
All right. How about you, Karen? Do you go on recruiting trips?
So I don't do anything like formally like that, but I have gone to career fairs actually for Vector. So it's been a couple years now, but I did do it for a couple years, going back to like U of M, kind of more local universities actually. And so I would go to their engineering career fairs and see if we could find some
Sit at a
students.
table,
Yeah,
hand
yeah.
out a Wolverine or something.
Look,
with
look at a
vector
bunch of
t-shirt.
resumes, talk to them about their projects.
What do you tell young like engineering students about working in the real world? Do you tell them like it's not it's not what it appears, or is it more like boy I wish I had known what while I was still in school, or go do.
I've always
this.
stressed like the later courses that they take are like a lot more important, but because they're more project based. You're actually like hands on, you're developing something. It's not just like, oh, this lab told me I have to do this and you follow these rules. It's like you actually come up with your own project plan, and you're like sourcing the pieces, potentially even designing like a PCB, for example, and then like yeah, it's like the whole workflow. And I think that that's like a lot more valuable to a company. And when we're hiring, like we can see that you can do a whole like life cycle, like the whole project life cycle. And I think like seeing students that like take initiative outside of the classroom, not just like I said, not just doing the coursework, but like, oh, I have this interest in this project and I want to do it on my own. I like to code or like use the Arduino or like the Raspberry Pi. I think that's really valuable.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
keeners.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell the people that are like passionate and do stuff
Yeah.
outside of like just the coursework.
You said keeners.
Keeners. Yeah, it's a Canadian thing, I guess.
They're real keen.
They're really keen. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
All right, got it. And so that would be something, that's some actionable advice if you're looking to break into the automotive industry, particularly around coding. Set yourself apart, not just with the grades you get in your coursework, focus on your higher level courses in your junior and senior year, but also, and I would say, right, don't force it if you're not really that interested. First of all, you're not going to get hired if you're not that interested, but you should have something else that you're doing that demonstrates that you are keen, that you're really into this coding space, whether it's with an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi and making it the robot arm move or the car navigate on its own. Okay.
Yeah, can I add a couple of
Yeah,
things
yeah,
to that?
for sure.
To Karen's?
Totally,
Because I mean,
totally.
I'm often at these events with a ton of engineers. I am like an ex-engineer, I guess. So I appreciate a lot of the feedback that our engineering team usually gives, and a lot of it is great stuff like that, like work on either project-based things or open source projects, or contribute to those and get a lot of experience there. So I try to complement that with what I think is often advice they don't get, which is work on soft skills, work on networking, like those kind of things that help you get the job or help you in interviews or help you really sort of fit into a team and provide good chemistry. Like a lot of people who are in these professions are in them because they get to avoid people. And I think it's important to understand that, like, you're not going to be able to avoid people. Like, you have to work with people. That's just kind of part of the job.
Are you saying there's a stereotype around engineers?
You know what?
Like,
Yes, I kind of am. I have been that stereotype.
Okay.
But it's just it's an evolution, right? Like, it's something that you learn to kind of work on as an ongoing skill.
All right, true or false, Karen? Is it true? Like the engineers have the
Yeah,
stereotype
yeah.
of being sort of, what's the right way to say this? Maybe not so much.
I'm waiting for
I know,
the.
I'm letting him
we're-
say
we're-
it. I don't want
we're-
to fill it
Not
in.
so much into the people skills, let's say, and really much more work on their computer and just look at code.
I definitely think that exists. And I mean, I agree. Like the soft skills are important. I think part of me also kind of is a little forgiving. Like at the career fairs, I'm like, oh, they're nervous. I totally understand where they're coming from. But I agree. Like at the end of the day, once you're in the industry, you're working with people. At least at Vector, like we're pretty customer facing. So you can't really just like assume that you can hide, behind like different layers. So I would say, yeah, I mean, that's like an important skill to have.
But, well, let's just dive in a little bit, because if you have good people skills, you will likely be, promoted faster, end up with a big team underneath you, and advance corporately, right? Maybe, or not? It's not
Maybe.
assured.
And it's not assured. Like,
It helps.
it does help. For sure it helps. But if you're too good at your job, you also might not get promoted either. I've had that experience. Because I wanted, so this is actually the first role I've had where I have reporting structure, have people to work with me or under me. And I've had to get that because I've always thought, I think I would actually work well with people. But I've been told, at least on 2 different occasions, you're too valuable as an individual contributor for us to move you into management. So I'm like, I'm shooting myself in my own
that's
foot.
great. This is exactly because that was exactly my follow-up question. I'm sure there's engineers out there who don't want to lead or manage, but they want to be handsomely compensated because they're a super strong independent contributor with like very specific domain knowledge and like they're the fastest and the best at this field. Is that accurate? Like there are folks who just want to, like, I'm really good at this.
Oh yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
And
For
leave me
sure.
alone. I'm going to be over here doing
Yeah.
this thing, and I'm happy to do all this, but I don't want to mess with. I don't want to do PowerPoint decks. I don't want to sit on a bunch of Zoom calls. I just
No,
want
for sure there are
Okay.
those people. But, to kind of like also the alternative of that is there are also a lot of people who are in, like our field, like in CS, Comp Eng, whatever. They're in some sort of computer related field. And they kind of might like parts of it, but they don't like all of it, but they understand technology. And for those kind of people, like when I have people come up to me and say, hey, I'm kind of not sure what I'm going to do. I'm like, engineering, like you don't have to just write software. There are tons and tons of jobs in companies that require understanding technical concepts, understanding technology very well, but, like aren't writing code. Like I'm an example. I
Yeah.
think you're an example, right? I mean, there's lots of those kind of jobs, like it might be product management, it might be marketing, it might be a lot of other kind of things that you could have alternative skills that you bring to shine, right?
Okay. Well, then let me throw the big curveball in the room, right? Because we're almost 40 minutes in here, and we
Let's
haven't
do
talked
it.
about AI.
Okay.
Like, does AI, there's artificial intelligence. How big is it? How big of an impact has it made? Is it making in what you do, what your companies do, what you think, what future talent coming into QNX and Vector need to think about, right? Is it really? I mean, are you guys Are you vibe coding? Are your friends? Are your colleagues just like going into their favorite GPT and saying, I want this thing to do this, and just hit a button and there's the code, and then you run it, or totally wrong?
I don't know if we're there yet internally at Vector. I know we are trying to work on like incorporating AI more, like in our own workflows, but also like for our customers, like with our tooling. I think it's important, like in moving forward, but I don't think that it will like kind of replace our jobs completely. I think you still need like a human to like oversee it, understand what's actually happening. And like systems are pretty complex these days. I don't think AI is like ready to handle that yet. Maybe for like repetitive tasks or like quick things, you can say, hey, like help me code this or something, but you still need to know like how that fits into the system and manage that and make sure it works reliably. So I think it's there to help, but I don't think it's there to like replace anything just yet.
Okay.
That's my feeling.
I would agree. In fact, I think it's inevitable
Bing, I said it.
that AI does end up having more of a role, but QNX is in basically the exact same position that Vector is. We're investigating it. We don't think it's really to a stage where we want to trust people's lives to vibe-coded
Right.
applications. And fundamentally, if you think about what our business is, that's what we're all about. We're all about reliability, wherever that is. If it's in a car, if it's in a surgical robot, it doesn't matter. We don't want those things to fail. And if you look at what's happening to AI, and I've done vibe coding for very simple apps, and I know like my colleagues have as well, not for anything that we're going to release out into the wild, but just as proof of concept, like how does this stuff work? How do we understand it? What's happening? What you get is very, very hard to maintain and often hard to understand. And if you look at many open source projects, they're actually like cutting off any new contributions until they can prove the reputation of the people that are committing those changes. Like a good example is Godot. I was just reading, I mean, I know that this has happened in a few different open source projects, but they're open source gaming engine that Google created. And we actually have a port of it to QNX, and we use it for certain demos and stuff like that. They're not taking any more source contributions because people are just pumping it full of AI junk. Like somebody will say, hey, here's a request, and somebody will go, oh, okay, I'm gonna be like, part of this community. I'll vibe code up some kind of thing, and then they'll submit all this stuff. So they're getting all this junk. They don't know what to do with it. I think we're at that stage where there's a lot of hype. It can do very, very simple tasks. It can do like bigger things. It's getting better all the time. I'm not going to say it's not.
Right.
But when is it going to get to the point where you can actually use it to build highly complex interrelated systems that have functional safety requirements? Boy, a long time, like a long time.
Okay. That's great. I've talked to, I think you're the first person, because I've thrown around the word vibe code. I have no idea how that would work. What am I going to do with that? You're the first person I've heard of who's actually like done it, so that's fantastic. What then do you tell, like what would you tell a 20-year-old in college in computer science,
Yeah.
especially as I'm kind of hearing that, hey, you know, the bottom has fallen out of a lot of these tech jobs for coders at all the FANG or Magnificent Seven companies. Like, you know, 40 years ago, it was the hottest thing to be to get a computer science degree and know how to code. And now it looks like everybody's pulling back. And the main driver of that seems to be the threat of vibe coding of AI. Like, so how do you talk to somebody who's in school, or what do you tell them? Like, hey, you should know about it, you should use it, you should have a fluency in Claude or whatever. How does that,
Yeah.
how do you?
You should use it. You should have a fluency. You should know what it does. You should have an idea of the limits. I think we're really lucky because we're part of the industry where the software that we build has consequence. And so I think we're going to be slow adopters on that. So there's still a lot of room for actual people who have skills. And I think the important thing that I would probably communicate to students who are trying to get through their degree on this is don't let the fact that you know how to type prompts to a GPT engine replace the fact that you know how to do this yourself. Like, it's always going to be a tool, like for the foreseeable future. It can, you know, maybe it can help you peer code review, or maybe it can help you with, you know, creating some APIs for a particularly complex thing. But you should understand what that code is doing, and you should have the ability to debug it. And if you don't have that, don't assume that it can debug it, because generally, like, AIs don't debug, they just rewrite it. And that causes another set of problems in terms of maintainability, or, you know, introduction of bugs and all kinds of other stuff, right?
Okay.
So,
Fair. Anything to add?
No, I agree with him. Don't use it as a crutch. Use it as a tool to help you, but like, you need to keep those skills yourself.
yeah, that's the thing. I think there's a real attraction to, like, saying, oh, this replaces all the tedium of actually taking, you know, hours to code this thing up. I think you have to live through the tedium to sort of really grok it properly. You know what I mean?
Grok. I like it. You use an AI. One of the AI engines is a term.
Yes, I know. Well, they stole it from,
yes.
Heinlein or whoever.
Right. The well, that tracks, to be honest, because I've been messing around a little bit with AI, and I would say I have my expertise would be general automotive stuff, and if I ask your Gemini or Grok to explain something, I love when I can catch an error, because and this is where I think this is important, especially for the young. I have a 5-year-old, like for the super young kiddos, you cannot take what AI spits out as the truth. It is absolutely not, at least at this point. Like, read it, but be super critical about the results. And it's good to hear that it seems to apply for computer science, computer engineering. So, okay, great. All right, so let's talk about what, fundamentally this is about talent, about the role of your companies and how you can attract the best folks to come join you. So when you look at the work that you do, the work that Vector is doing, what kind of software engineer, or what kind of person would be a perfect fit to come in to Vector?
I would say really just like a software engineer, somebody who's like not afraid to just like code and make mistakes and iterate, and like they're comfortable with like a CI/CD pipeline. I think that's not really traditional for like legacy automakers, and I think that that's something that's being adopted. Like, a lot of the workflows have to change for SDV to be like the new technology, I guess. So I think we need like software engineers that are just comfortable with software development, high iteration, not being so like focused on their features necessarily, but like more understanding of like the overall system architecture and like how those things all interact, and I don't know, working with interfaces and abstracting things properly.
Okay. Same question.
I have a different way to answer that, only because I'm in a very different part of the organization. And so, I mean, I think on the software side of the organization, there's probably all of the things that Karen talked about. Because I'm focused on QNX Everywhere, and a lot of it is outreach, I'm looking for basically people who are proactive, have energy, have a technical background and technical chops, at least to back up what they're saying, but not necessarily are going to be coding on a day-to-day basis, right? So it's a very different skill set from, I think, most of what the company does.
Okay. And then why, and because we at the top, we talked about your background and that you're in the automotive industry, you're not the traditional car person, like you're not super excited about like all the super fast and the flashy kind of part of that, but why should smart, talented, technical people, software engineers, why should they join automotive? Why should they come into the automotive industry writ large? And why specifically at either one of your companies? And I'll say Karen first because, well, you're still in the greater Detroit area. Anybody coming out of University of Michigan or Michigan State or any of the associated universities in the area, Wayne State, right, they're gonna be looking at a job board that's gonna have GM or Ford or Bosch or Continental or Tenneco or something, right? Like why? I guess a lot of those would be mechanical engineers, but why, or they might have a computer science degree and be looking at a tech company, an Apple, a Facebook or something. Why come into automotive and then why Vector?
I mean, I think automotive more and more is becoming like those big tech companies. So I don't know, like if they're interested in big tech, I think we're not too far off, or at least we're moving in that direction. And also like automotive, I mean, it's like really, it's important. It's been here and it'll be here to stay, right? So I think it's really cool that they'll get to be on this like forefront of like the evolution from legacy vehicles into this like SDV architecture. I think right now is like a big turning point for the auto industry. Why Vector specifically? I mean, we've been in the industry like 35 plus years. We're like a really big networking company. We do a lot of tooling. We're really well known for our tools, actually. We're always like trying to come up with new products that fit the market needs. So we're trying to be like this, ecosystem company, the software factory. We're able to provide these solutions to work with OEMs or tier ones or even outside of the automotive industry, actually. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think.
How's
working at Vector.
How's the office in Novi? Is it?
It's good.
Have you been to Stuttgart?
I have. So they actually
Is it
tried.
that good? That
well,
place is-
okay,
that
it's
place
not
is
the same.
impressive.
It's not the same. But I will say they tried to model our offices off the Stuttgart ones. So
Okay.
like, I don't know if you've seen our office recently, but now like the building is painted red outside,
Oh,
like Vector
wow.
red. Yeah,
Oh,
even though we
cool.
don't own the building, but it's red.
It's great.
And like
Wait until the landlord finds out.
right. We redid like the floors during like COVID, and so they like look pretty similar to.
They have cool artwork installed. Anything?
I don't know if we have art.
Okay.
Though.
I think you should work on that. There's some local Detroit artists that would probably be down to
Yeah,
do something.
yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. So before I ask about the office, same question on
Yeah.
QNX.
So, I mean, I've done embedded like most of my career. And I think the reason to kind of give auto a chance, or why auto is kind of interesting, is similar sorts of reasons why embedded is cool, is that you're actually doing something physical. You're working with something. When you're done with whatever it is, there's a physical product
Right.
that's a result of that. When you can say that about a car, that is really something else. Like my software is actually in that car. Like it's a really interesting way to be able to think about, kind of like how you're impacting the world or what the software that you're doing. It's not just the back end of some SaaS kind of thing that nobody is ever going to know about. No, actually, it's in the vehicle that you drove to work today.
Right.
It's kind of cool.
For most Americans, most North Americans, right? The home is the biggest purchase they'll make in their lifetime, right? The car is number two, and they'll make it multiple times,
Right.
right? And actually, we're hearing that this newer generation maybe can't even afford a home, so they're going to buy a bunch of cars, maybe. But also, look at the Super Bowl, right? The only commercials they ran during the Super Bowl were like GLP-1, AI, a lot of betting, and then car companies. And
Yeah.
car companies always run Super Bowl commercials. It's a massive industry, super exciting. super entertaining.
It is a big industry. And the other thing, too, is that we're probably at a point that has never been as cool to be in the auto industry. So many things are impinging on cars. Like the ability for you as a new software developer or even an existent software developer to get involved in like all these different areas of car technology. I mean, like it's sort of a technology buffet in terms of the things that are available to do work on, right?
Exactly.
So,
You can be working on the entertainment side, bringing all the fun user experience in there, or you can be on the serious ADAS side, or you guys can be much deeper within the stack, right? So there's all sorts of fun stuff.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, I got one last question. I like to make this a useful podcast for those who make it all the way to the end. So you guys are both super technical people with lots of experience. Is there some, and I don't really know what I'm asking from a coding or super software nerd perspective, but is there some tool available, it could be AI, is there a particular thing that you would recommend somebody who's interested in getting into the business, download or take a look at, aside from QNX Everywhere, or you could say,
Aside from QNX Everywhere.
or you could go deep on QNX Everywhere and add this in. I have asked this to a few people, and like somebody told me like, oh, the Google Notebook LM has something it generates a podcast based on your notes. That's a fun one to play with. I was asking about specifically AI tools, but is there something you would recommend somebody who's interested in getting in the business start experimenting with or start playing with if they haven't considered it? Like if they just want to differentiate themselves. I know it's a little bit tricky.
Do you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
I guess go ahead.
Okay. So I will say QNX Everywhere, but specifically, we have a hypervisor that's also part of that. So
Okay.
hypervisors are basically a virtualization technology, so
Yep.
you can run different things in it. So the reason I bring that up is because more and more of the car is becoming, like consolidated. So there's this
Okay.
whole trend called ECU consolidation.
Yep.
And that is, basically getting a single, bigger, more powerful processor to run what's multiple different systems in there. Virtualizers are a key way to accomplish parts of that, and so that would be one thing.
So let's stop there. How do they?
Sure.
So they go to QNX's website,
Yep.
click around.
Go to our website. There's a QNX Everywhere link that says go download the software, and then I'm trying to simplify this honestly, but then there's a whole bunch of clicks to try to get to the point that you need to get to download the software. Our PM is actually got that down to 3 clicks, and so we'll hopefully that will be there
Okay.
soon. But in any
The
case,
hypervisor
that's what it is.
specifically?
The hypervisor is actually part of the things that are enabled through that download. If anybody has any question about how to get to it and they try on the podcast, just have them reach out to me. It's
Okay,
fine.
so put it in the comments. We'll connect.
So put it on the comments. But a couple of other things that are not QNX related. So one is, I'd say ROS, so the robot operating system. Not because that's necessarily used in cars, but because it's open source, it's used in tons of university projects, and it gives you an idea of how a bunch of different components can talk together.
Okay.
It's not going to be how a production system talks together, almost certainly, but it's enough to kind of get your skills built up in those areas that are important about, interprocess communication between all these different modules and all that kind of stuff.
ROS, actually heard of it. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Final couple options. Am I stealing all your?
No, you're giving
Okay.
great.
Okay. So then I would also say TensorFlow and MediaPipe. So TensorFlow is just a way to kind of capture a lot of that AI stuff. So if you're doing like camera vision or something like that, then you'll want to understand that. MediaPipe is also it's like a open source camera vision specific thing
Okay.
for being able to do that. So if you're doing like lots of ADAS applications would use those sorts of things or components thereof, and having familiarity with sort of the data processing pipeline that those things use will be useful, even if you're not using those technologies specifically.
Okay. That's way more than I was asking for, but that's incredible.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Karen, any other suggestions?
Sorry.
Those were very specific too, to be honest. I don't know, I guess from like a vector standpoint, since we're like more of a like communication protocol, or that was like our bread and butter, I would say like Ethernet, like that is like a really up and coming like networking, I guess. It's like it handles more data, right, than CAN and LIN. So I guess getting up to speed in that, specific tools.
So Ethernet specifically in the automotive or device perspective, because so I'm trying to, again, I'm way over my skis trying to even talk about this kind of stuff, but Ethernet in the car is replacing CAN and LAN, like
more and more, yeah.
connected, like local area networks. And basically, if you can understand Ethernet protocols, that puts you ahead of other
Yeah.
potential candidates. Okay.
Yeah. So like back when I was at career fairs, I was like looking, CAN, LIN, like, oh great, like you're already like kind of ahead of the game. But I would say these days it's more and more Ethernet, especially with like the HPCs and like the new zonal architecture. Like there's just a lot more Ethernet in vehicles. For specific tooling, I don't know that Vectors is necessarily like free to install. I think for students, it's like you can contact us and, we'll try to like give discounts and things like that. So definitely check out our website. But I would say like a lot of our tooling is, testing or like simulation. So like doing SIL or HIL.
Software and loop, hardware and
Yeah,
loop.
Hardware,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry
Yep,
if I
that's
didn't.
okay.
Trying to think. What
Learn the
else.
acronyms. I think is a good one too.
Yeah, there's
So-
a lot of acronyms.
There are a lot. There are a
Don't know
few.
if you'll ever get all of them. But yeah, like a lot of unit testing tools. I know we have like VectorCast as well. But I know there's open source ones like Google Test. So just like, I don't know, whatever helps you with your like software development skills, your workflow, your CI/CD, pipeline automation, things like that.
All right. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. This was
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah,
Very
super fun.
interesting conversation. I know it's these are challenging topics to talk about, specifically when you're not a domain expert. So I'm very thankful to bring two experts on. So Andy, Karen, thank you so much for joining us and traveling all this way out here to Ottawa to QNX's awesome garage. And thanks again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.